questions for the guest. If you would like to join us, the link is in the chat room. All right, so with all of that out of the way, SYSBM, SYCBM, Passport Brothers, Cleanup Man debate, all that out of the way. You seem to have come into a little bit of a under fire of late because you've had some contentious or lively, I should say, conversations with some people who find themselves on the other side of the ball from yourself. So let's, ladies first. The lovely Miss Courtney Michelle and you seem to have had a lively conversation on these issues. Would you like to give a brief recap there?
Yeah, I had a conversation with Courtney, and then I had a conversation with Alan. As I said earlier, just presenting a perspective. Courtney started crying. Alan started being condescending. And honestly, I personally don't have any dogs in the fight. Like, when we talk about save your community, black men, save yourself, black men, or passport rules, because obviously I'm not a black man. But it was just what I'm observing, and then I presented the perspective instead of answering and having a logical conversation. And just trying to say, oh, this is how I think about this, and respectfully hear each other's perspective. Both Courtney and Alan decided to get in their feelings. So as I said to you earlier, it's like, okay, I can't give too much energy on that. I just focus on what I do on my channel.
Yeah, I want to, if you don't mind, because a lot of brothers, were very much tuned in. Well, there is the kind of catfight element, going on. But that aside, a lot of brothers were really interested in your discussion with Courtney and Michelle because they wanted to know why. Well, let me just ask you, exactly what was the point of contention? You said Courtney actually cried during your interaction with her. What was exactly the bone of contention between the two of you? What were you disagreeing about?
I presented a perspective of how save your community black men can be selfish because you're asking black men to save a community that has been disrespecting them for years, and basically to say what would black men get in return if they were to stay back and save the community.
Right. So, and her response was?
She cares about the children.
Okay. That's fair. I'm not saying that nobody should care about children, but you correct me if I'm wrong on this. I think you probably would have the position, okay, you care about the children, but who created the children?
Yeah.
And her response would be, well, that's not so important. What's more important is that we need to take care of the children.
Yeah, I mean, and I do strongly believe that she has, she's coming from a genuine place. However, I'm strongly believe that she is refusing to look at the flip side of the coin, which if that's black men, right? And if we're asking them to save the community, the least we can do is look at their perspective.
Right. So let me get East Coast Kev with a $5 super chat. He says, BET and Oprah don't care about black men, in my opinion. Well, I don't know about you, Kev, but I go by actions. People tell me who they are based on what they do, not what they say. So, as far as I am aware, I stand to be corrected. As far as I am aware, BET nor Oprah Winfrey Network is having a conversation like we're doing right now. And both of those networks have lots to say about black love. I don't see a conversation like this. So, if that don't make the case, thank you so much for your super chat, brother. I'm saying to the other brothers out there, if that don't make the case for the necessity and the importance and urgency of black male media, nothing.
I want to add to that if I can.
Yes, please.
You said BET, they're having the conversations about black love.
Yes.
However, they're not having it from male's perspective. They're not even like asking men what they want. And we saw Kevin Samuel said the same about Big Family Friendly. We saw how women lash out. So it's like, how can you want black love? You want healthy relationships with black men, but you're not concerned about what they want in the relationship, as we talked about earlier, trade-offs. And I think that's where the disconnect is. We need, as women, we need to be a little bit more open in hearing men's perspective.
Indeed. I couldn't have said it better myself. I can see the reason why so many brothers love you, to tell you the truth. Brandon with the $100 super chat.
Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar!
And he says, you already know what it is. Indeed I do, brother. Indeed I do. He says, I have been quietly watching Chantel Simone and like her streams. Just subscribe. You got a brand new subscriber. I suspect you're going to get quite a few subscribers today by the time.
Thank you.
Yes, very much so. Yes, if anybody wants to join us on the air, the link is in the chat room. You can come on up and pose your questions to the lovely Miss Chantel Simone. She's going to be with us for another 30 minutes or so, because I think she has other things to do. So she'll be chopping it up all day with us. Although we definitely would like her to stick around. But in any event, yeah, if you would like to come on up, we would love to entertain your questions. In the meantime, you're listening to our Obsidian Radio. And our special guest this morning is the lovely Miss Chantel Simone. We're talking about the great SYSBM and Cleanup Man debate. Let me ask you this, and I'll bring on my brother E. Lim. Let me ask you this, Chantel. So, because of your particular background, Jamaican, came here as a teenager, could it be, it could be said that, well, of course Chantel wouldn't have a problem with brothers going overseas. Look at her. She's a foreign, black woman. Of course she wouldn't have a problem with that. What do you say to that?
I mean, that's a valid point, and I can see where people get that from. Main thing I will say is that it's not just American men are passport bros. I've had a few men from England called up on my show a few times and have been in the chat. Some say I think how I think because of not being American. I don't know. I got my when I was a quote unquote feminist. I was raised in Jamaica, so I got most of that from being in Jamaica. So I like me being foreign, quote unquote. I don't think it really has much to do with it. I'm not advocating for men to go to Jamaica to get a wife. As I said multiple times, if you want to go to Jamaica, make sure you go to the countryside where they don't have internet, because the feminist movement is strong over there too. So it's not like I'm trying to get my Jamaican friends green cards, by advocating for the passport. So yeah.
Dante in the building with the $2 super chat. Appreciate you, brothers. He says, preach, Chantel. I never really liked Courtney. Now, gentlemen, let's be nice. Let's be nice now. Easy. Let me bring up my brother, E. Lim. E. Lim, you're on the air with yours truly and the lovely Miss Chantel Simone. Go right ahead.
Okay, my biggest question is, what would you tell a 13-year-old and a 15-year-old teenager? What would you say what would be the best attribute for a wife? For their, go ahead. I'm sorry.
The biggest thing, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, as men, I think men would appreciate the fact that she was intentional from that age to learning how to be a wife. So I would tell a 13 and a 15-year-old to start learning the skills, what does it take, start learning how to cook. Shows Kevin Samuels and the cookbook. And just being intentional, even like if you're gonna go to college, just know why you're getting that specific degree is to help your future husband in whatever he needs. He would need your help in. I think that would be the main thing, just living intentionally. I think too often men are treated like the backup plan. It's like, oh yeah, I lived my life, I got my career and everything, and now I'll get a husband. I always say low key, but it's high key disrespectful from a man's perspective. I can understand how you guys will see that as disrespectful.
Any further questions, Ian?
The reason I asked is because I haven't been in the dating market since I was 20. I've been married 17 years, so.
Oh wow!
I just wanted your perspective. I'm working right now. I'm an engineer too, so.
Very good.
I really appreciate that, bro.
No problem, man. Thank you so much. Kevin with the $10 super chat. He says, "Great show as always." Wow. Thank you so much for that, man. Please do me a favor. Please don't forget to share this with as many brothers as possible. By the way, black men listening right now, you need to share this with as many brothers as you can in the barbershop, know, on the job discreetly. Of course, I don't want to get you in trouble on the job. You know, take it during lunchtime or something like that. Take it off the premises. Say, yo, man, you hear about this brother on the air named Obsidian. I'm just gonna, you know, put a bug in your ear about it. That sort of thing. We need to get the word out about this show and about the broader Black Manosphere, of which the lovely Miss Chantel Simone is a part. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for that. East Coast Kev comes back with another $5 super chat. Thank you. It says, Chantel and Danica are heavy hitters, but I can't forget our other lioness, Gail at night. Salute our queen. Yeah, I agree with that. Gail at night, she does tireless work, not just here, but in numerous channels, and I deeply appreciate her for it. Make a really good point there, brother. My man Jamari81 with the $5 super stick. Appreciate you, brother. Let me ask you a question, Chantel. If you don't mind, what is your marital status at this time?
I was just it's so funny you asked. So I'm official. Technically, I'm unmarried, but on YouTube, Gail and I are in a relationship, a sister-wife relationship with Idris Elba. So shout out to my We have pictures, and haters gonna say it's Photoshop.
Yeah. Okay, so the question has to be, given that you're in your early 30s, the question has to be, well, why aren't you married?
Well, that's what I use my channel for, guys. I was, as I said before, I wouldn't necessarily consider myself a feminist, but if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, then it's a duck. So I had that mindset where it's like, I'm go to school, get my education, focus on everything but being a wife. You know, I was raised being immigrant. Your education is the most important thing, and if you focus on a boy, then, you know, that's gonna take you away from what the most important thing is in life. So I did waste my 20s. I wasted majority of my 20s in school, in my career. And it's not until, unfortunately, when my mom passed, that's when I realized the importance of family. And that's when I started deprogramming everything I was learning, went to therapy, and fortunately stumbled upon Kevin Samuels at that time too. So I got to learn everything that I know now.
Oh wow, I'm very sorry to hear about the loss. I know the feeling very well. It's been 20 years since my mom passed away, October 13th, 2002, and that was almost 4 years to the day that my dad passed away, which was December 8th, 1998, and that would have been just barely a week past my 30th birthday. So,
no, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. So I know what it's like to lose parents at a relatively younger age, and
you know, honestly, I mean, it's bad, it's terrible. I would not wish it on anybody, but it really does give you another perspective on life. Losing your parents, it really opens your eyes, especially at a young age.
Yeah, it does. And I learned a lot about grief and the grieving process. Like you said, it gives you another perspective on life. And so you know, with Kevin's passing earlier this year, I kind of revisited those feelings. So I'm very I can dig where you're coming from with that. Let me ask you this on a more lighter note. Have you been, Mr. Elba notwithstanding, have you been fielding any other potential suitors?
Yeah, I'm not available, but I keep my personal life private.
Well, she's not taking off the market yet, gentlemen. It ain't over until it's over. So if you're interested, you know how to get a hold of her. And, best of luck to you. Let me bring on Passport Dog. Passport Dog, you're on the air. I'm sitting radio. Chantel Simone, go right ahead.
I was going.
Can you hear me?
Okay. What's going on, guys?
How you doing, man?
Nice. I'm getting a bit of feedback, but I'm sorry. But I want to. I'm good. So I want to ask. Okay, so I want to ask if what do you think about the complexity of what happened in the result of the elections? And what does that say about ADO's black men?
Let me throw that to my guest. Don't get me to mind politics. Am I right about that?
Yeah, I'm not.
There it is, got it.
Yeah, but do you have any thoughts about the elections? Of course, Stacey Abrams, insofar as Black America was concerned, she was like the main, all eyes were on her. She ran 4 years ago in the state of Georgia for the governor's seat, lost in a very hotly contested election. They had a rematch last night, and she lost again. Do you have any thoughts about that? A lot of Black men felt that they were disaffected, alienated from the Democrat Party in general, Stacey Abrams' campaign in particular. So, do you have any thoughts regarding that?
As you said, I don't really follow politics like that, but the surface level stuff that I know Stacey has said something in regards to Black men, and I heard Black men saying that, they don't feel heard by Stacey. So in seeing her loss last night, I know no offense to anybody, but it gave me a sense of pride. I was proud of Black men for standing up and not letting her bully you guys into voting for her. Because she said something in the effect where like, y'all need to vote for her or something like that. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. So it just proves that you guys can't be bullied into voting for her. So I was proud of that moment. But as I said, I don't follow politics like that. So I'm sorry.
That's okay. Passport Dog, that's from my particular view. I don't want to go into a long diatribe. I've covered this extensively, and I have plans to revisit it with Dr. Tiasan Johnson. I want to bring him back to discuss the 22 midterm elections, 2022 midterm elections, and in particular, Stacey Abrams' now second failed bid to win the governor's seat, what that means. I had him on a few months ago, like a month and a half ago, something like that. You can go back in the archives and check out that live stream interview, and there you will be able to hear exactly where I'm at.
So, the reason I asked that question is because it goes back to this
Well, hang on a second, Pastor Dog. Are you familiar with what he's referring to, Chantel?
Yes, isn't that recording Michelle Whitman?
Okay, so that, because I don't want to assume anything. So, Chantel, can you explain what the brother is saying with staff? I just want to make sure we all on the same page. What does staff mean?
So apparently it means steal their asses back. I was on Show Notes with Chef Charlotte, a great content creator. Courtney Michelle was on her platform, and I was in the chat, and she basically was just saying, it's a response to the passport bros, the men who are choosing to go where femininity is. In the interview, the collab that I mentioned earlier with Richie Mack, Courtney did mention that it was a joke. So I put that out there, but yeah, that is steal their asses back.
Okay, gotcha. So Passport Dog, please continue.
So even if it's a joke, it just assumes that the men that you're appealing to just don't have a level of sophistication, right? So, forget about everything that's happened. You know what? We're gonna steal you back. Come on. It's not really that simple. If you're one of the guys, and Obsidian always talks about the non-select guys, right? If you're not 6 foot tall, if you're not Derek Jackson-ish, you watched what happened the last 20 years. You saw it. You saw what happened. So you're gonna come to the guys who are not Derek Jackson and say, oh, you know what? Fix all of this. And it's a joke. It really is a joke. It really is.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's just a joke. If you or the guy who basically did not have kids, you have the famous video of Obsidian, and you come clean up the community. It's like, why? We didn't make it dirty. Who's find the guys who are making the community dirty, the guys who are doing the stuff that are injuring the community, and employ those guys to fix it. Why are you doing that?
Why do you think, I'm going to let you respond in a minute, Chantel, I'm just going to ask Passport Dog a question before you do. Why do you think, because I asked you this question already, I want you to why do you think when these conversations about save, and I want to use the nomenclature here, save your community, black man comes up. Why do you think the Derrick Jacksons of the world are never present? Why do you think that is?
Look, Obsidian, look, there are a lot of guys, and if you talk about the guys who basically, if you know who Francis Wilson is, if you know who John Henry Clark is, if you know who Joseph Inyaki, if you know who those guys are, you feel an obligation, right? And so it's an appeal to them. I'm appealing to the guys who knew who Yolanda Juju was, who Shahrazad Ali was, and they're going to come fix all of this. And if you were the person who said, you know what, they would want me to do this, you fall into that trap. But I think what's happening now is you're getting guys who are saying, you know what, no. And I think that's where this is coming from. I think that's where this is coming from. You're having this first generation of people who basically heard all of this stuff, and they're saying, you know what, maybe it's just not for me.
Yeah, that's interesting. Chantel, your response, and I have a follow-up question for you, Pastor. Go ahead.
I wanted to add what he said about, you know, the men who did not destroy the community needs to save it. And
Right.
even if men are saying, you know what, we care about the community, we're going to stay back and save it. An important point that no one is focusing on is what will these men get in return? What will they get for their sacrifice in saving these communities? Because I truly do believe that there are some men, some pastor bros men who would prefer to save the community if they were getting something in return. But it seems as though it's a lose-lose situation, and with Alan and Courtney Michelle avoiding to even discuss that part of the conversation throws a lot of red flags with their intention of this.
Well, oh, wait, hold on a second. I don't mean to cut you off. But first, let me get Chris. Chris with the $5 super chat says, Wes Moore won in governor's seat in Maryland. Lots of successful blacks there. Military, college, educated, married, but invisible in black America. He's talking about Wes Moore. I know who that Wes Moore is. He wrote a book some years back that was critically acclaimed called The Other Wes Moore. And it was a very, very interesting book. And I highly encourage my brother to read it. PC's with the $5 super chat. He writes, so she knows nothing about politics, but she knows which side to be on. Are y'all serious? I mean, she is right. But your response?
I know nothing. I mean, I know enough about politics as the rest of adults should know. And as I said, you know, I followed what Stacey Abrams Party was saying about black men, so I know what is right from wrong.
I want to so you know, going back to this discussion, you said that Alan Obi and Courtney Michelle, when y'all were having this stab /SYSBM /SYCBM discussion, and the part that you raised, Chantel, about okay, well, what do these brothers get in return for saving the community, and which would include wifing up women who had kids by the Derrick Jacksons of the world to use them as a kind of avatar, essentially alpha fucks beta bucks. You said that they didn't even want to entertain that part of the conversation. That kind of floored me there. You raised the question. What was their response?
I posted the video. I have not gotten a response from Courtney yet. She deflected a lot, and she cried, as I said, when I asked the
She cried when you asked that question?
Well, I asked the question. I stated it that, you know, if we're gonna ask men to look at the community, but the community is filled with single moms, it's filled with oversized women. You know, 55% of black women are obese. A higher number is overweight. And I asked, you know, what would men be getting in return? Should they stay and wait for these women to lose the weight? Because or don't these men deserve somebody who don't have to fix themselves? You know, they're already more violent. She talked for a bit, and then she started crying. I don't know. And then with Obi, you know, he didn't answer the question straight. So I think
What did he do? We know that Courtney Michelle at some point broke down crying. We got that. What did Obi do? I mean, because I like Alan. He's a very level-headed kind of guy. So it sounds kind of out of what you're describing here. Sounds out of place for him, because he's generally a very level-headed kind of guy. You have conversations with him, and he does answer questions. This doesn't even sound like the Alan Obi that I know.
He was just being a little very condescending. He started, talking, instead of addressing the question at hand, as I said, is for a straightforward question, I would expect a straightforward response. I haven't gotten a straightforward response. He was just, beating around the bush, moving the goalposts, avoiding the question that I asked.
I just want to let everybody know, Miss Courtney Michelle is in the building, and I want to say to Miss Courtney Michelle, since her name did come up, it's only fair to give her a chance to respond. Miss Courtney Michelle, if you would like to join the panel to respond to the matter on the floor in consideration at this time, which was during your conversation with Miss Chantel Simone, the question emerged as to what do these brothers get in return for their returning to the community, saving the community, and so forth. And that question, there was never a definitive answer. This is what my guest is saying. There was never a definitive answer. Neither you nor Mr. Alan Obi gave a definitive answer to that question. I think it's only fair to give you a chance to speak to that if you would like to do so. The link is in the chat room so you can come up. Just want to make sure that everybody's treated fairly here. Let me bring in intellectual integrity. Go right ahead. You're on the air. I'm City and Radio.
Hello, City. Can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead.
Thank you for having me. Shout out to Chantel Simone and as well as the other brother on the panel. I just wanted your opinion on something, and also Chantel to chime in. The brother that's on the panel brought up a point as far as and you've been talking about it on the podcast, as far as they never asked the Derek Jacksons of the world to come back and clean up the community. Am I correct?
Correct.
I'm of the opinion.
Before you go any further, intellectual, do you agree or disagree with my premise there?
Yes, I agree with it wholeheartedly.
Okay. See, go right ahead.
And it's my belief that the reason why the women of the Staff Elk never asked those men to come back is because those men have already gotten sexual access, so there's no incentive for those men to actually come back and do anything. So what they're trying to do, in my opinion, and you can let me know if you agree with this or not, what they're trying to do is double back to the men who they haven't given sexual access. It's sort of like, shout out to ARC, they're dangling the possibility of sex. That's why they can never really give a distinct answer as opposed to what the quote-unquote non-select black men are going to get, because they can't just come out and outright say it. But I think what they're doing is trying to dangle. If you come back and clean up the community, you can have access to the possibility of sex. They'll never come out and say it, but that's just my opinion. I wanted to know, is that something that you possibly agree with?
Let me go to our guest first and get her reaction, and then we'll go around from there. Go right ahead. I'm going to on you. Go ahead.
To clarify, since I can't say his name, but to clarify, you're saying that because black women only can offer sex, that's why they can't tell these passport bros what they're getting in return?
But yeah, I want to give intellectual a chance to respond to that. Go right ahead, brother.
By no means am I saying black women only offer sex. I believe our black women are worth more than that. But the bottom line is